Lesson 16.1, Opinion Surveys. The objective today is to compute the rate of a particular response in an opinion survey. A product test is asking a group of people to try a new product in order to learn their opinions and gauge how likely the product will sell. Opinion research firm is a business that specializes in product testing and opinion surveys. Go ahead and press pause while you copy this down, and when you're ready to move on, press play to resume. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on. Okay, your next vocabulary is opinion survey. This is a series of questions about a new product submitted to a panel of volunteers to find out how well the product will sell. Okay, you've got a couple of formulas. The first formula, these are kind of out of order. The first formula that we're going to use is actually this one here. Percent of a particular response, and I don't know why that's on purple, but let's put it on black. This is the number of times particular response occurs divided by the total number of responses. And then your second and third formulas are absolute error equals prediction minus actual response, and relative error equals absolute error divided by actual response. Now, in the math world, anytime we see absolute, that generally means like absolute value. If you know what absolute value is, it is the distance away a number is from 0 on the number line. Okay? So anytime we do this formula right here, the absolute value, your number must always be positive. Okay? If you come up with a negative number, you just turn it positive. All right? Go ahead and get this copied down. Press pause while you're doing so and play to resume. Okay, so let's go ahead, let's move on to example 1. Example 1 says, Countryside Cereal Company conducted an opinion survey of 2,600 people for its new Good Morning cereal. The table shows the responses of the 2,600 people surveyed. Okay, looking at the table, we've got 3 different age groups, under 18, 18 to 40, and then over 40. We've got 4 different opinions, excellent, good, fair, and poor. All right. Either going down the columns or across the rows, it totals them out at the ends and at the bottom, and those totals add up to 2,600 total responses. Okay? Now, the question in example 1 says, Countryside Cereal Company operates on the standard that over 80% of the responses must be excellent or production will be halted. What percent of the total responses rated the cereal excellent, and what should Countryside do? Okay, looking at this, they want to know which ones rated it excellent. Well, looking up here, this is my excellent column or row. 2,080 rated it excellent out of 2,600. Divide that out and you get 0.8. So that means 80% said the cereal was excellent. Now, that's not a bad number. The problem we have with this problem is it says that they operate on the standard that over 80% of the responses must be excellent or production will be halted. Okay, now, in the business world, and your book will tell you the same thing, you've got to look at the broader picture. Sometimes you can't have hard, fast rules. Okay? Looking at this, we had 2,080 responses that were excellent. We had 348 that were good, 121 that were fair, and only 51 that were poor. Okay? Take into account the excellent and the good. Since we're already sitting at 80%, the fair and the poor pale in comparison. So, what should Countryside do? If I was running Countryside, I would go ahead and run the production. Okay? So, let's go ahead. You people are going to want to look at your books on page 593 in order to work the next problems. Okay? So, here they are, problems 1 through 4. I'll give you a couple minutes. It's real easy. Push pause while you work them, and then we will work them together. All right, let's go ahead. Let's look at problems 1, 2, 3, and 4. Number 1 says, they rated the cereal good. So looking at my table, it tells me that 348 out of, this is number 1, 348 out of 2,600 rated it good. Okay, plug that in, and you should get 0.1338, which works out to be 13.4%. Okay, number 2, we're under 18 years old. There were 240 people under the age of 18 out of 2,600. 240 divided by 2,600 is 0.0923, which works out to be 9.2%. Number 3 wants to know they rated the cereal poor. There were 51 people that rated the cereal poor out of 2,600. 51 divided by 2,600 is 0.0196. Okay, that's going to round up to 2%. And number 4 said we're over 40 years of age. 1,800 out of 2,600 were over 40, which works out to be 0.06923. 69.2%. Okay? Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's take a look at example 2. Okay, example 2 says, Countryside Cereal Company in example 1 had predicted that in the under 18 group, 220 would respond excellent. Okay? Determine the absolute error and the relative error. Okay, now, the prediction that they thought was 220. All right, so to find our absolute error, we're going to take our predicted minus the actual response. Okay, now I'm going to scroll back real fast to our table. This is under 18 that would respond excellent. Under 18 that responded excellent is 200. Okay, so 220 minus 200 gives me an absolute error of 20. My relative error is the absolute error divided by the actual response, which works out to be 0.1 or 10%. All right, pretty easy stuff. Let's go ahead, let's take a look at problems 5, 6, and 7. You guys try this on your own, press pause while you're doing so, and play when you're ready to see it work. Okay, let's take a look at these. Let's start with number 5, seeing as that would be the general order of things. Number 5, suppose Countryside Cereal Company operates on the standard that over 90% must respond excellent or good, or production will be halted. What should they do? Now, looking back in your table, okay, look at the number that responded excellent, which was 2,080. We're going to add the number that responded good, which was 348. And we're going to divide that by the total, which is 2,600. Okay? Add those together. 2,080 plus 348 is 2,428. Divided by 2,600, which gives us 0.9338, which is 93.4%. Okay? So the question is, what should they do? Well, if they wanted to, they operate on the standard that over 90% must respond excellent or good, well, obviously we have 93.4% that fall into that category. Okay? So, keep production going. Number 6 says Countryside Cereal Company had predicted that 8 in the 18 to 40 group would respond poor. Determine the absolute error. Okay, remember when you do the absolute error, it's always prediction minus the actual. Okay, so they predicted 8 would respond poor, All right. Now, if we look back at our table, in the 18 to 40 group, okay, 18 to 40 group that responded 4, the answer is 10. Okay, so we have 8 minus 10, which is negative 2. But if you recall, when you find absolute error, it's always going to be positive. So the answer is 2 on number 6. All right. Now, number 7, determine the relative error in problem 6. Okay. To determine relative error, you take the absolute error and divide it by the number of actual responses. So 2 divided by 10. 2 divided by 10 is 0.2 or 20%. All right? Pretty easy. Here's your assignment. Lesson 16.1, page 594, 1 through 15, 19, and 20. Get crack-a-lackin'. Peace out, home fries.